Now that we have our grid, we're ready to go ahead and put some of those images into it. So we'll go back to the ones that we had just edited. We're going to make sure that our layers are flattened. If they're not, we're going to go to Layer, Flatten Image. We can't have any additional layers in there when we do this copy and paste. You're going to take the selection tool. It's the Rectangular Marquee Tool. It's the second tool on the toolbar. And you're now going to create a selection around the area of the photo that you want to bring into your grid. So you can do this by either taking the whole thing, or you can take just a piece of it, maybe whatever the most interesting piece of it is. Once you've made that selection, you're going to hit Control+C on your keyboard or Edit, Copy, and you're going to come back over to your grid template and you're going to Control+V as in Victor, and that's paste that onto the artboard. Or you could go to Edit, Paste. If you're working on a Mac, it's Command instead of Control. Now we need to go to Control+T, which is Transform, and this brings up the bounding box and allows us to scale down or resize that image to fit the part of the grid that we want to fill. So right now this could fill 2 boxes, or if I make it larger, I could have it fill 3. And I think I like that right about there where the boards overlap and create that V effect. So I like that positioning for it. I'm going to complete the transformation. I can do that by checking the box at the top, by clicking back on the arrow or move tool, or by hitting return on my keyboard. Once I complete that transformation, I now have that new layer in here, and if I want to, I can name that layer floor boards. Next, I need to clean off the edges of this photo. So I'm going to go back to that selection tool, the rectangular marquee, and I want to make sure that snap is turned on. So go up here to view and make sure snap is checked off. This will allow you to swipe around and capture that excess area and then hit delete on your keyboard. So again, you want to really swipe in far from the outside and all the way around, and then delete or backspace on your keyboard. To get rid of that selection, we can hit Control+D, which is deselect, or you could simply click anywhere with the selection tool and it will disappear. From here, we can move back to our move tool, and we can now move that piece as it is a piece of the puzzle, and it takes up 3 of our squares. So as we move more things into the grid, we can decide where that piece will look best. So let's do that again. Make sure we have a flattened image with no layers. Take out our rectangular marquee tool, and we're going to make a selection. This time I'm going to hold Shift. I'm going to take a perfect square selection, and I'm going to copy it, Control+C, paste it, Control+V as in Victor, and Control+T transform. So you'll be using those commands CVT, one after another, so it should get pretty familiar to you. Because I made this a perfect square selection, it's very easy to fit right in there over 4 squares, and there's no excess to trim off. Or I could fill 1 square and have it be much smaller. Again, make sure you complete the transformation by checking the box, clicking the arrow, or hitting return on your keyboard. Okay, the last one we'll bring in here. We'll select around this, copy, Control+C, come back over here, Control+V, and Control+T for transform. Make sure you are scaling your photo in proportion. We don't want to stretch it or warp it in any way. So you may have to hold down Shift in order to keep that proportion, but it's important to do so. Find the most interesting part of your photo and put that in the boxes, and then we will trim off the excess using the rectangular marquee tool. It also helps to zoom in close when you're doing this, and when you do that swipe, try not to line it exactly up to the selection like that because you will be likely to leave some edges that then follow that piece wherever it goes. So when you make your selection, you want to really extend outside of the photo and let snap really snap right to those grid lines and bring it all the way down. So you really want a nice clean cut there, and you don't want to have to kind of chip away at it with multiple selections. You want to get it all in one bite like that. When we do the bottom here, same concept. We're going to swipe around, make sure it's all there, and also make sure you're lining up to the correct grid line. You should see it should match even with the one next to it, and then backspace or delete. Once you have your grid filled in, you should have one layer for every photo, and you can start to move these pieces around and decide what looks best where. It's kind of like building a puzzle without knowing what the end result is supposed to look like. That's it. Good luck.